with that of her Republican rival, Donald Trump.
And painted Trump's vision for America as backwards looking and bitter, countering with her own view for the nation and its future.
My mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You show them who you are. America, let us show each other and the world who we are and what we stand for. Freedom, opportunity, compassion, dignity, fairness, and endless possibilities.
And joining us now, NBC News' Yamiche Alcindor on the scene there in Chicago, and former Senator Carol Moseley Braun of Illinois. She was also a delegate there at the convention. So, Yamiche, let me start with you. Beyond the politics of this moment, how did Harris use this speech to share her personal story with America?
Well, good morning. One of the biggest goals of this speech at the DNC was to really introduce herself, reintroduce herself to America. Sure, people know her as the vice president, but Vice President Harris wanted to come out and really explain to people how she sees the world and why she sees the world the way it is. And a lot of that has to do with the way that she was raised by her mother, a woman who immigrated from India, who came here, who taught her daughter that she should have grit, that she should also make sure that she doesn't tell people that she can't do something, that she should be able to go out and do whatever she wants to do. So she talked a lot about her mom, and I want to play a little bit more of what she said about her mother.
My mother, she worked long hours, and like many working parents, she leaned on a trusted circle to help raise us. She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it. Do something about it. That was my mother. And she taught us, and she also taught us, and never do anything half-assed. And that is a direct quote.
And what really was interesting about this is that she didn't speak explicitly about the fact that she's the first black woman, first Asian woman, first woman of color to accept a major party's nomination. But what she said was, again, that her mother told her, don't let people define you. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them who you are. And in this speech, over and over again, she was showing America that she is the daughter of middle-class immigrants who met at a civil rights rally, and that has informed the way that she wants to help the middle class create what she said, an opportunity economy, and really help all Americans get their piece of the American dream.
Yamiche, Harris also discussed some specific policy goals, which many people wanted to hear from her.
That's right. This speech had a lot of policy in it. Even though it was a big, broad speech about her vision, she did talk specifically about a number of things, and I want to tick through some of them. The first is the war in the Middle East. She talked about the fact that she believes Israel should have the right to defend itself, but that she also has a big goal to bring the Israeli hostages home and to get them released from Hamas. She also talked about the fact that Palestine should have the security, freedom, and self-determination here. So she was really leaning in on the fact that all of the things that we've seen, that she said, the innocent lives lost in Gaza, that was really something that should not be happening, and she wants to bring that to a close. She also talked about the fact that she was talking about the border bill, that bipartisan border bill that we saw Republicans and Democrats come together and pass the border security unit. The border unit was what the union was backing it. She laid that right at the feet of former President Donald Trump, saying Trump is the reason why we don't have that bipartisan border bill. She also talked about the fact that she wants to sign a bill to have women, ensure women the access to reproductive freedom and abortion in this country. So she was saying that Donald Trump would pass a national abortion ban, and she would do just the opposite to restore some of those freedoms that were lost when, of course, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. And she also talked about ending America's housing shortage. And in that regard, she talked about the fact that her mother spent years, more than a decade, saving for her first home, and she wants to make sure that all Americans have the opportunity to have a home. And one other policy she talked about specifically before before this speech was giving $25,000 to first-time homebuyers. So those are just sort of all the policy things that she talked about last night.
She certainly laid out some markers, and of course there are days ahead now for her to fill in the details about how those would be implemented, how she could make those realities. Senator, just taking a step back and looking at this historic moment, you helped pave the way. You were the first black woman elected to the Senate. Harris was the second. Harris is now the first woman of color to get a major party nomination. What's your takeaway from this moment?
I could not be happier. I am so thrilled about this. And I was there yesterday to listen to the accolades that she received. She deserves, and the audience loved her to death. We were all loving on her. So it was wonderful. And it was a great thing to see for me. Because and I wasn't the only one, obviously, a lot of women have gone before to pave the way to make this happen for Kamala. And that she is so well qualified and so capable and so ready for the job is just an added bonus.
I'm just wondering, I mean, Senator, you were also, you ran for president briefly in 2004. Do you think that the country is different now than it was in 2004, or are there still a lot of barriers and hurdles that remain?
The barriers are still there, but the country is different. No, I'm glad you pointed that out. That is exactly the difference. We've got a different moment. The country is ready to move forward, I think, and we won't go back. I think that's very prescient about the times we're in. People, such as yourself even, young people, are ready to support a woman for president. And I think it's high time, because it's been 174 years since Virginia Woodhull ran for president. So it's been a long time coming, but it's well worth it. This woman is so well qualified, so highly principled, so ready for the job. And she's been an understudy to Joe Biden for the last, 4 years, yeah. So she has it going on. I'm just delighted.
Ladies, please stay with me. I also want to bring in Vanderbilt University distinguished professor Michael Eric Dyson in Washington. Professor, Democrats around Vice President Harris have mentioned that glass ceiling and the racial and the gender barriers that she could break if she is the next president of the U.S. But it's interesting because the vice president hasn't really leaned into that narrative as much as the middle class narrative that she talked so much about at her speech. Let's listen.
My mother kept a strict budget. She expected us to make the most of the opportunities that were available to us and to be grateful for them. Because as she taught us, opportunity is not available to everyone. That's why we will create what I call an opportunity economy where everyone has the chance to compete and a chance to succeed.
My takeaway, her message there, not about her being the first and that being sort of the standalone, but more a message of my life was like millions of Americans' lives. What's your view of that approach?
Well, I was there all week, just arriving here in D.C., and I was there last night. It was a remarkable speech. Her strategy, I think, is well taken and well advised. People know she's a black woman. People know she's a woman of Indian descent. People know that people are arguing about the pronunciation of her name, arguing about her blackness. There's plenty of racial dialogue around Vice President Kamala Harris. Her job is to reassure people that her journey is their journey, that they can see themselves in her, that her particular predicament is a reflection of a broader swath of the American public more than we know. Yes, the particularity of it is something she has never avoided. A member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, a graduate of HBCU, Howard University. All of the things, as they say, resonate in blackness around her. The darn roll call for the states had blackity blackness all imprinted over it. The music that was chosen, the music to which she referred. So in this sense, it's like the Cosby Show in the 80s and 90s. You saw the paraphernalia on the wall. You saw them in their family settings, but they didn't have to re-articulate the necessity of paying attention to that blackness because that blackness was implicit. That blackness was taken for granted. And as a result of that, she's able to forge connections with other people. That's strictly different than her policies, which address the particularity and specificity of black vulnerability and suffering. But as for her, I think that message and strategy are quite powerful.
Senator Harris prosecuted the case against Trump and the Trump agenda, particularly when it comes to abortion access. Here's some of that.
He and his allies would limit access to birth control, ban medication abortion, and enact a nationwide abortion ban with or without Congress. And get this, he plans to create a national anti-abortion coordinator and force states to report on women's miscarriages and abortions. Simply put, they are out of their minds.
Senator, you recently told the Washington Post that sexism is even more ingrained than racism. How do you think the Vice President is threading the needle on these issues?
Well, look, they're both equally powerful in their own right. Sexism is an undeniable, more ancient malady that we've confronted because the genders, male and female, as we constituted them then, were from the very beginning. Race comes along centuries later. But the reality is in this country that race makes sex count more, makes gender count more. There's a multiplying effect there, a force multiplier. But having said that, she's done brilliantly. She understands who she is. She's comfortable in her own skin. She's arrived at a moment when America has understood or is it beginning to understand her fitness for the job, her greatness in her own right, and her comfortability speaks volumes that she's able to talk about women, she's able to talk about people of color, she's able to talk about, minoritized populations geographically and in terms of Gaza and Palestine and Israel and Jewish brothers and sisters. She is comfortable in short of being presidential. And in order to be presidential, you've got to deal with the intersectionality of all of those particular maladies, but also draw from them the possibility that together we can do far more than we can apart.
Senator, I'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. Again, the threading the needle. We already mentioned that there are still barriers there. How do you think she's doing in threading the needle, talking about the racism, the sexism that still exists in society today?
I think she's doing a brilliant job. I think she has learned from the lessons of the past, and she really is moving forward to explain, to let the American people know that race and gender notwithstanding, that she understands their situation and that she has concrete solutions. I was really actually delighted and surprised that she went as much into policy as she did last night. She talked about what she was going to do about things. And that was the part of the speech that I thought shone most brilliantly, that she was able to take after painting the picture of who she was and what she wanted and pointing out to people what Donald Trump has done to this country and to individuals in it. She was able to say, and this is what I will do to fix those problems. These are the steps I'd like to take. And I could not have been more thrilled.
Well, thank you all. Yamiche Alcindor, Michael Eric Dyson, and former Senator Carol Moseley Braun. Great to have you with us today. Thanks so much. Up next, new reporting out just in the last few minutes. Secret Service agents put on leave after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. What we're learning.
How Trump is responding, by the way, to Harris's acceptance speech as he leans on an issue that's helped him in the past.
Also, RFK Jr.'s campaign exit with a possible endorsement on the horizon for Trump. But would it shake up the race where it matters in those swing states? We're back in 90 seconds.
With fast signs, create striking custom visuals that inspire pride district-wide. Fast signs, make your statement.
With bugs, the struggle is real. That's why you need Zevo traps. Zevo works 24/7 to attract and trap flying insects for effortless protection. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Emergency plumbing? Done well. So the next time you have a project, join the millions of homeowners who use Angie to care for their home. Get started at Angie.com.
Welcome to the Waiverhood. With Wayfair, finding your style is fun.
Again, when the music stops, grab any chair. Doesn't matter if it's your outdoor style or not.
I'm sorry, Carl. This is me in chair form.
I don't see it.
Oh, this one's perfect for you, but you love it.
I told you we should have done a piñata.
I explained it so many times.
Mm-hmm. They're not sitting. You need to sit down.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Here we go. Consumer Cellular uses the same towers as Big Wireless, but then passes the savings on to you. Save your money for something else. Speaking of, I ordered us some Thai food. For unlimited talk and text with reliable coverage starting at just $20, call Consumer Cellular.
We're back with breaking news this morning. NBC News is learning multiple Secret Service agents have been put on leave after the attempt on Donald Trump's life.
Joining us now, NBC's Julia Ainsley. Julia, good morning. What do we know?
Well, we know that there are multiple Secret Service officials who have been put on leave. This is because of this ongoing internal investigation, one of many that were launched in the wake of that July 13th assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Among those put on leave is a special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh field office. That was the field office in charge of coming up with that plan that allowed the roof that the shooter gained access to Trump from to be outside of the Secret Service's perimeter. They left that to local law enforcement, and it's not clear that they had any conversation with local law enforcement to make sure that they themselves would be on top of that roof or securing that rooftop in any way. This is something that the acting director recently said he would make sure that if anyone in the course of that investigation were found to have violated policies, that they would be put on leave and that they wouldn't wait until the end of the investigation for that to happen. Now, the exact number, we don't know yet. I'm told it's around 5 or 6. That number could be changing by the day as they continue this investigation. It's not clear if these agents or officials may come back into the agency later on if they've been cleared. But for now, we're told they are put on leave, which is a form of a disciplinary action as a result of their actions taking in the planning and in the response to that assassination attempt on July 13th.
All right, Julia Ainsley with that reporting. Thank you for bringing us the breaking news this morning. Back to the 2024 race now. While Vice President Harris broke barriers and made history last night, her opponent is hoping to deliver a compelling counter-argument today. Trump is heading to Las Vegas, where he'll host a no tax on tips event this afternoon before a rally tonight in Glendale, Arizona.
But the former president has had some difficulty staying on message after Harris delivered her speech. He dialed into Fox News for an interview that was ultimately cut off by the Fox host. Here's part of that.
No, she's not having success. I'm having success. No, it's only in your eyes that they have that, Martha. We're doing very well in the polls. We're leading in most of the polls. And in the swing states, we're leading in almost every one of them.
Mr. President,
Michigan,
let me interrupt.
They threw Joe Biden out of the party.
And that's why we saw a different night tonight.
Mr. President, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate that live feedback.
Stay right there. Live edition of Gutfeld is coming up.
That wasn't my fault, Donald Trump. He's still talking, by the way.
And joining us now is NBC's Jonathan Allen, also Tolu Olorunipa, Washington Post White House bureau chief. So, Jonathan, what did the timing and the substance of Trump's rebuttal signal to you?
Well, I think he's angry that he's not at the center of attention and has not been for the last few weeks. He's going, I think more and more to the most desperate bag of tricks that he has to kind of command attention. It was on the disarray among Democrats after the late June debate, and then it has been on Kamala Harris for pretty much every moment since she was elevated to be the Democratic nominee, and certainly during her convention. And Trump has difficulty with that. He can't stand it. Last night was a moment of a historic moment, the nomination of the first black woman for a major party. In history, and Trump was, she was reaching for history and he was reaching for a gaslight.
Tolu, before he dialed into Fox, Trump was live reacting to Harris's speech on his Truth Social platform, literally dozens and dozens of posts. We don't have any more room on our graphic to show them all, but they were kind of all over the place. At one point, he went back to his argument that undocumented immigrants are taking black jobs. Trump has downplayed the calls from the allies of his to be more disciplined in his attacks. What are the risks for him politically in continuing to go to those kind of same old playbook moves?
Yeah, this is a truncated campaign. It is shortened. It is a 100-day sprint to the presidency. And every day that Donald Trump spends flailing on multiple different issues, not having a clear line of attack against Kamala Harris, is a day lost. And I think his campaign advisors know this. They are scrambling, trying to set up these events that are supposed to be policy focused. But when he can call into Fox News or Newsmax and just start spouting off at the mouth, it's going to make it very difficult for them to come up with a clear line of attack against Kamala Harris and a clear rationale for why she should not be the next president. And so he is losing his advantage, the advantage that he had against Joe Biden, and he is clearly rattled by it, and it's making it very hard for him to stay consistent and stay on message. And it seems like every day we're getting a different message from him, and it's going to be very difficult with this shortened campaign for him to be able to showcase why Kamala Harris should not continue this momentum that she's had over the past several weeks.
And Jonathan, Trump did post one tweet on X during his social media blitz. He posted both on Truth Social and X, thanking Georgia Governor Brian Kemp for all his help. You'll remember that Trump picked a fight with Kemp during a rally just a couple of weeks ago. What does this show you?
It shows me, number one, that his aides have had some influence, gotten his ear, and told him that it was pretty dumb to attack the popular governor of Georgia at a time when he is vulnerable to losing Georgia again. And it tells me that he's using, using Twitter, his home back on Twitter, to do some of the communication outside of his own base. There are people outside of his base that will follow him on Twitter that will not follow him on Truth Social. But look, he does damage to himself, and this is an attempt to repair it. And you wonder how many voters in Georgia decided to heck with him the last time he went after Brian Kemp.
Tolu, Vice President Harris made a concerted effort last night in her speech to make her pitch to not just Democrats, but to Republicans and independents. Are there any signs that's breaking through?
Well, you can also look at the people who were on stage before Kamala Harris, including Representative Adam Kinzinger, a Republican who was in Congress and who broke with Trump when he was in office. We saw during this four-day convention a number of outreaches to Republicans and moderate voters, and Kamala Harris continued that with her speech. And it's clear that there are voters who don't like Trump and who aren't yet sure about Kamala Harris. They weren't in Biden's camp, but they are giving an open ear to Harris and thinking that maybe they would cast a vote in support of her if she can give an olive branch, if she can push back against these attacks that she's a radical leftist, that she's a San Francisco liberal, that she wants to be extreme and invoke communism on the country. She presented a very different message, a very different profile to those voters. And it's clear from what we've heard so far, just in the few hours after the speech, that those voters are listening, their ears are perked up, and they are considering voting for her. And it's one of the things that's driving Donald Trump crazy, that, Kamala Harris is reaching into his base, reaching into the people who would have voted for him if it was a Trump-Biden match, and now all of a sudden they are drifting away from Trump, and we were seeing that in all the polls that we've seen, despite the fact that he is citing a number of polls that we have not seen that show that he's ahead. It seems like the polling is showing the momentum going in the opposite direction, towards Kamala Harris and away from Donald Trump.
And he falsely claims that he's leading in all the polls.
Jonathan Allen and Tolu Olunipa, thank you for being with us this morning. Up next, entering the final campaign sprint, how does Vice President Harris take the fight to Trump and make the next 10 weeks count?
Plus, RFK Jr., who's made headlines for vaccine conspiracies, brain worms, dumping a dead bear in Central Park. He's expected to end his presidential campaign today and endorse Trump. How could that reshape the race?
You've got your Sunday obsession, and we got you. Now with Verizon, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV on us. And a great deal on Galaxy Z Fold 6 for a total value of $1,250. Only on Verizon.
See you Sunday.
Hey, with Priceline VIP Family, you can unlock deals 5 times faster. You don't even have to be an actual family.
Oh, I'd be the dad.
I'm the dad. Hey, physically, it's clear that I'm the dad.
Okay, so which dad is paying?
You're the dad.
Go to your happy price, Priceline. With bugs, the struggle is real. That's why you need Zevo traps. Zevo works 24/7 to attract and trap flying insects for effortless protection. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
I own a lot of businesses, so my tech and my network need to keep up. Thank you, Verizon Business.
Now our businesses get fast and reliable internet from the same network that powers our phones.
So whatever's next, we're cooking with fire.
Switch to the partner businesses rely on.
The best feeling is when we take off our bras. It's not true. So you take off your bra, but then you feel the weight. What's the solution? Honey Love bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwire, so there's never any digging into your skin. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. And one of my favorite parts, no back fat. Never. The back straps are so wide and so seamless. I could work out, I could run, I could dance, I could do anything. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan Falcon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
I need Q1 full index reports to my desk by noon, complete with comprehensive data analysis.
Are you getting any of this?
Charles.
Yep, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
By morning. Got it?
Got it, boss. Otter, you got this.
What happens in Vegas stays. Well, not anymore. Play Quick Hit Slots, the free-to-play mobile slots game that everyone is playing from coast to coast. Quick Hit Slots gives you all the fun and excitement of authentic Vegas slots. So if you love daily bonuses with endless spins and prizes, Quick Hit Slots and you are a winning combination. Download Quick Hit Slots for free and get a 6 million coin bonus. Make every day a winning day.
I have an obligation to find a way of telling this story that is fresh, that has angles that haven't been used in the course of the day, to bring my experience working in the Senate, working in journalism for many years, to try to make sense of what has happened in that news day and help you make sense of what it means to you and what it's going to mean to you tomorrow and what it's going to mean to you next year.
"28 past the hour. Today in Phoenix, third-party presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is planning to give an update on his path forward. After two sources told NBC he plans to drop out of the race and endorse Donald Trump.
Donald Trump will be in nearby Glendale tonight, but it's not clear yet if the two will appear together. Let's get to NBC's Dasha Burns joining us live from Phoenix. Dasha, what more do we know about what Kennedy and Trump could say about an endorsement today?
Well, look, Anna, sources are cautioning us that nothing is final until it's final, but he's going to be here in downtown Phoenix. Trump will be in Glendale. Trump said last night that, they'll be in two very different parts of the state. They're about a 20-minute drive from one another, so he could very feasibly get over to the Trump rally. The campaign has been teasing a special mystery guest at the rally, so very much leaning into the rumors and the speculation. What we do know is that the former president is very interested in an endorsement. In his own words, take a listen to what he told our Garrett Hake yesterday.
I would love to have his endorsement. That'd be a great honor.
That's despite all the things he said about vaccine, 9/11 conspiracies. Does that reflect on you if you put him in your administration?
No, it doesn't mean administration, but certainly having his endorsement.
And just a reminder of some of those things that Garrett was referencing about RFK Jr.'s positions. He spread conspiracy theories about COVID-19 throughout the pandemic. He is behind one of the most well-funded anti-vax organizations. He said he'd want to dismantle the FDA, the CDC, and the NIH, and recently talked about having a brain worm. He admitted to leaving a bear carcass in Central Park, guys.
And also, Dasha, national polls show Harris slightly ahead of Trump, with or without Kennedy in the race. So how much of an impact could this endorsement have?
Well, look, what we've seen in our polling is that the majority of people who view RFK favorably are Republicans. Democrats and independents actually show a negative view of RFK. So his numbers have gone down since Harris went to the top of the ticket on the Democratic side, which means it's very likely that the 5% or so of folks that are still supporting RFK Jr. lean Republican. And that means that it could benefit former President Trump. And again, we're not talking about a huge percentage here, 4 to 5%, if that. But we expect such a tight race that could be a difference maker, guys.
Dasha Burns, thank you. We'll be watching closely for those moves today. Just 73 days left until Election Day. And really, it's even shorter than that. North Carolina becomes the first state to begin mailing ballots in just over 2 weeks. The first presidential debate is on September 10th. Widespread early voting begins September 20th. The vice presidential debate is on October 1st.
And then you blink, and it's going to be time for America to decide who they want in the White House for the next 4 years. Joining us now is former Republican governor of Ohio, John Kasich. Also with us, Democratic strategist Tima O'Mara. John Kasich is an MSNBC analyst. So, John, it seems like Harris has the momentum right now, had it for the last couple of weeks. What do you think the Trump campaign could do going forward to change that? Or do you think that that's just not possible?
I think, Jose, first of all, the Democrats had a great convention. It was upbeat, it was positive, it had light, it was hopeful. And, her speech last night, I think, was designed to show that she is strong, that she has strength. And she introduced herself to the American people, and she obviously did a really, really good job. The question now is she's going to have to go through the gauntlet, the press gauntlet, which I know you and your family have been familiar with. And that is going to be critical for her. If she goes through the gauntlet, the questions, the pressing on specifics and details, and if she's able to talk about the economy, she's going to be really tough for Trump to beat. But we have to see how that plays out. And, for Trump, they are trying to say, well, they're making fun of him or whatever. He's a serious guy. Trying to get into name calling or anything else, that's not going to work. You got to focus on his positions. And he's he's not somebody that you laugh at because he's serious. And they tried to say that. But it's to some degree, let Trump be Trump. Let him, he can bury himself if he's not smart. So at this point, I think it's waiting to see how Harris does through this really additional scrutiny. The countries, they don't know her still enough, and she's going to have to answer questions like taxes and what she's going to do to capital gains and all those kinds of things. Right. They're going to be important. That's what I think.
Tima, I think a lot of people are looking forward to that debate on September 10th. We saw Vice President Harris really lean into her prosecutor credentials and attack Trump as someone who isn't patriotic. How does she keep her momentum going, and how should she approach that debate?
Well, I think the fact that she is, a trained prosecutor who, was noted several times over the course of the week at this convention, that she really knows how to hold her, the person she's questioning, her opponents politically, really hold their feet to the fire. And I think that she's going to have to demonstrate that with him in the debate. And he's going to do all of the blustering, all of the lying, all of the things, and she's going to have to be really good at making sure she's communicating her message and definitely hitting him hard when he's trying to, be physically intimidating as he was in 2016 and just emotionally intimidating when he was on the stage with Hillary Clinton. So I think there's so much momentum here, having just come off of, the convention myself as a delegate on the floor, the excitement, the joy of this historic occasion, her qualifications, the fact that she is reflective of a lot of people's experience, daughter of immigrants, blended family that she's married into, a black woman, an Asian woman. She speaks to so many demographics. And then in her VP pick, amazing, man who's sort of representative of the Midwest but also good progressive values. So I think that as long as they carry that sort of energy as they continue to travel, I think that this is going to be, one heck of a months going into the debate, weeks really. So.
Governor, our own Chuck Todd put it this way. He said, unlike what the Democrats have done here in Chicago, the Republicans didn't make a direct appeal to the center of the American electorate. The GOP did little to assuage the fears of some voters that it was moving too far right. Outside of inviting Haley to speak, it's hard to point to a single night that seemed dedicated to expanding the tent of Trump's GOP. Do you think that the Democrats made a good effort to expand their tent? And how can Republicans rewrite this script?
Well, I think, Jose, they did do a good job of trying to project sort of a positive. You look at the speeches from Michelle Obama, particularly effective, Barack Obama, and last night with her, particularly on national security issues, she was projecting strength. What the Republicans need to do, however, is to focus on the record, the last three and a half years of what's been happening. Okay, Kamala, we know you want to do something about inflation. What exactly are you going to do, and what have you been doing for the last 3.5 years? Yeah, we know what you want to do on immigration, but where were you on that? They need to focus on her changing positions, and they need to focus on the facts. Now, here's the thing. I had a discussion with some really smart people about the people going to vote on personality or competence. In the old days, people would vote a lot for who they liked in personality, but things have not been good in voters' minds for the last couple decades. So now they're beginning to vote on competence. If it's always going to get down to the pocketbook. Do they think that Kamala Harris can give their family economic security, or do they believe that Donald Trump can give economic security? And that's going to be the most essential and critical debate. Whoever wins that debate is going to be president.
Well, maybe that will be a topic at the debate that we see in just a couple of months, or a couple of weeks, I should say. Atima, I want to actually touch on something that we heard from Governor Kasich earlier, because we had some sound last night from the vice president giving us maybe a preview into the Democrats' new method of trying to handle Trump. Let's listen.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an unserious man. But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
Mocking Trump is something we didn't see a whole lot of from President Biden when he was in this race. Could it be an effective strategy for Vice President Harris?
I want to say, first off, I think that being unserious is not entirely inaccurate here. And the reason I say that is because most of the things that we're saying about Donald Trump, while they sound like they're mocking, are actually true. He's obsessed with these narcissistic things, such as crowd size, such as who loves them, who doesn't, such as being on top, such as beating up on folks who are in his party or don't bow to his ways, and pointing that out, and that there are dictatorial tendencies is, not mocking him, it's pointing out the facts. And so I think people have seen his record over the last 4 years, and they need to be reminded, because folks like myself, folks like John Kasich, we are folks who are constantly watching politics, but everyday people aren't. And so they need to be reminded of the kind of person that he is going into the White House.
But he's not weird. Just make sure you know he's not weird, right? That's what he keeps saying. Former Governor John Kasich, Atima O'Mara, thank you both. Happy Friday. And now we have some breaking news on the economy. Those long-awaited interest rate cuts are on the horizon.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell confirmed the Fed will shift its approach, citing inflation's, quote, significant decline. Here he was just moments ago. Listen.
The time has come for policy to adjust. The direction of travel is clear, and the timing and pace of rate cuts will depend on incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks.
Rate cuts will mark a major turning point in the post-pandemic economic rebound after some jitters on Wall Street, although it's been a really uphill Wall Street indicators for some time now. Markets are rising today as well on those remarks. We'll have much more on this in the next hour of coverage.
And still ahead, getting a pulse of the people as uncommitted Democrats concerned about the war in Gaza and what's happening decide whether or not to sit on the sidelines or back Kamala Harris.
Could they be the deciders in Michigan?
You know, you're going to sabotage this election if you're going to be a one-issue voter. If, Palestine's going to be your one issue. But my question is, why is it okay for others to be one-issue voters when it comes to abortion or when it comes to LGBTQ rights, but I can't be a one-issue voter when it comes to Palestine?
I own a lot of businesses, so my tech and my network need to keep up. Thank you, Verizon Business.
Now our businesses get fast and reliable internet from the same network that powers our phones.
So whatever's next, we're cooking with fire.
Switch to the partner businesses rely on.
Your memory is an amazing thing, but sometimes it can start to slow down. But did you know Prevagen can help keep your memory sharp? The secret is the powerful ingredient apoaquarin, originally discovered in jellyfish and found only in Prevagen. In a clinical study, Prevagen was shown to improve memory in subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired. Stay sharp and improve your memory with Prevagen. Prevagen, in stores everywhere without a prescription.
Someone needs to customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Wait, there's an elevator? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Were you worried the wedding would be too much?
Nah. Another destination wedding? Why can't they use my backyard?
With Empower, we get all our financial questions answered, so we don't have to worry.
Empower. What's next?
I've spent my career working in tech, and today I run my own software company. I'm excited about the future of American innovation, especially with artificial intelligence, where the U.S. currently leads the world. American researchers are making exciting new discoveries, and U.S. companies are investing billions in AI solutions that will strengthen small businesses. But foreign competitors like China want to surpass America in AI. Our leaders need to protect America's competitive edge.
Wow. Incredible. Amazing. My go-to is Lumify eye drops.
Lumify dramatically reduces redness.
In 1 minute.
And look at the difference. My eyes look brighter and whiter for up to 8 hours. Lumify, it's kind of amazing. See for yourself.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this. Loan Falcon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
We're excited to do business with you, but before we sign, I gotta ask.
Sure, anything.
We searched you online, and maybe you can explain this?
Can't believe that garbage is still coming in. That is so false.
Frustrated with your online search results? Call Reputation Defender today to join tens of thousands who've improved their online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 1-877-866-8555.
We just signed the lease on our third shop. My assistant went to customink.com to get new uniforms with all the locations. He found great products, uploaded new art, and had boxes sent to all the shops. Custom Ink makes it so easy. Get started today at customink.com.
Let me be clear. I will always stand up for Israel's right to defend itself, and I will always ensure Israel has the ability to defend itself, because the people of Israel must never again face the horror that a terrorist organization called Hamas caused on October 7. At the same time, what has happened in Gaza over the past 10 months is devastating. So many innocent lives lost. Desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety over and over again. The scale of suffering is heartbreaking.
Vice President Harris addressing the war in Gaza as she accepted the Democratic nomination last night. The war is one of the most contentious issues she faces among Democratic voters.
Bringing crowds of protesters to each night at the DNC and leading to the uncommitted movement among progressive voters. Joining us now, NBC national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian in Dearborn, Michigan. Yasmin, good morning. You watched the final night of the convention with a group of uncommitted voters. What did you learn from them?
It was fascinating, Anna and Jose, because I sat with uncommitted voters back during the Michigan primary to kind of get their gauge of which way they were leaning when it came to then President Biden at the time, who was running for re-election. And kind of going into this thing, they felt kind of a renewed excitement when Biden decided to step aside and Kamala Harris was going to be the nominee for the Democratic Party. And I wanted to get a gauge now of how they felt about the speech, what they wanted, what they expected to hear from her, what they want to hear from her over the next 70-plus days or so between now and Election Day. Let's take a listen to some of what they had to say. All of these folks, by the way, voted uncommitted except for one, Sherry, in fact, who's in the right front, who voted for Biden during the primary and plans to vote for Kamala Harris in November. Everybody else, so far, undecided. Let's take a listen, guys, and then we'll talk on the other side.
She walked the line. She talked about Israel and how October 7th was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible. But it felt like she kind of downplayed what's been going on in the last 10 months.
If she would have called for a permanent ceasefire, saying we do need a permanent ceasefire, I think that, for me, that would have been different.
You're bombing our families with our money, and just one good speech is going to win us over again? I don't think so.
In the Arab and Muslim community, we've been voting for Democrats for a long time. We've hosted Democrats in our homes. We've donated to them. We've fundraised for them, and we've knocked on doors for them. But at this point, our money is going to our families overseas who are dying every single day and who need aid because of direct results from this administration, which she's part of.
They losing voters are going to put Trump in the office. That's on them. That's not on us. They're distancing their voters from them. They are not listening to their constituents. It's on them. It's not on us.
Here's the difference, guys. When I walked away after interviewing some folks after the Michigan primary, nobody was voting for Joe Biden. This time around, they seem more open. At least two of them did, aside from Sherry, who is definitely voting for Kamala Harris and has made that clear to me last night. They seem more open to a Kamala Harris presidency. They want to give her the benefit of the doubt to prove to them they deserve that she deserves their vote. Even Lindsay said at the end of the interview yesterday, she said, I think I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I just won't go out and stump for her. And so they really want her to differentiate herself from President Biden in the next 70-plus days, to really make it known to them where she stands on the issues, and as they say, call for a permanent ceasefire and let her actions represent her words.
Yasmin Vasugian in Dearborn, Michigan for us. Thank you. Up next, Harris makes history. Her spot as America's first black woman and South Asian American presidential nominee, now official and splashed across front pages coast to coast.
We'll talk to a presidential historian about her place in America's story and what it says about this current political moment.
To me, Harlem is home. But home is also your body.
Last one, everyone.
I asked myself, why doesn't Pilates exist in Harlem? So I started my own studio. Getting a brick and mortar in New York is not easy. Chase Inc. has supported us from Studio 1 to Studio 3. When you start small, you need some big help, and Chase Inc. was that for me.
Earn up to 5% cash back on business essentials with the Chase Inc. Business Cash Card from Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours.
One thing we know is true, no matter race, gender, ethnicity.
The need to screen when due.
For colon cancer's a priority.
Indeed. Everyone 45 plus at average risk should screen for colon cancer. These folks are getting it done at home with me, Cologuard.
Cologuard is a one-of-a-kind way to screen for colon cancer that's effective and non-invasive. It's for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider for Cologuard.
I did it my way.
You need new replacement windows, but you're just not sure if they're in the budget this year, right? I'm Brian Gary here with Ted Coons from Renewal by Anderson, and he's here to talk about how to make window replacement more affordable.
Well, first, Brian, you don't have to do them all. You could just replace your worst windows first. Or another way to make them affordable is to change the style of window. For example, you could do a gliding window instead of a casement. We have a lot of ways to make window projects really affordable.
Compared to other window companies, you have a completely different business model.
Yeah, with other companies, there's just too many people involved in the process. There's the manufacturer, the seller, and then the installer, and then the customer. And if you call with a problem, that's when they say, oh, well, we're the manufacturer. You have to call the installer for that problem, or vice versa. We're the full-service replacement window division of Andersen. With us, there's no passing the buck. At Renewal by Andersen, we sell, build, install, and warrant our windows and patio doors. So if there's ever an issue, we take full responsibility for it.
Why don't you sell vinyl windows?
It doesn't matter if it's a $200 window or a $1,200 window. A lot of vinyl windows just don't last. For energy efficiency and beauty, there's a much better option. Our Windows Fibrex composite material is available in 9 designer colors, and it's much more durable than vinyl. Well, Fibrex is low maintenance like vinyl, but stronger than vinyl. And it's beautiful like wood, but doesn't require the upkeep of wood.
It's Renewal by Andersen's 31-day sales event. Buy one window, patio door, or entry door and get the next one 40% off with a minimum purchase of 4. Plus, save an extra $45 on every window and door with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 12 months. Our 31-day sales event ends August 31st. For a free appointment during this sales event, call 1-800-460-7700.
We know what a second Trump term would look like. It's all laid out in Project 2025, written by his closest advisors, and its sum total is to pull our country back to the past. But America, we are not going back. We are not going back.
Vice President Harris spoke about history in her speech last night, the U.S.'s first female vice president, accepting her party's nomination by defining her vision and describing who she is to a national audience.
But how history will define Harris could depend on the road ahead to November and the outcome of Election Day. NBC's presidential historian Michael Beschloss is joining us now.
Michael, great seeing you. You say that Vice President Harris's speech last night accomplished more than any other such address in recent American history. What did you mean by that?
Well, what I meant by that is that here, Kamala Harris, she's only been on this presidential candidate stage for a month. A lot of Americans thought that they knew her because they had seen her as vice president. And as I think both of you would agree, the vice presidency tends to shrink someone because a vice president always has to sort of submit. In her case, she was in the shadow of Joe Biden. So this speech had to do an awful lot of work that most acceptance speeches do not. And I would say that it basically was a 10 strike in every respect that I can think of.
Our own Chuck Todd points out that conventions can be pivotal points in races, as was the case for Gore in 2000 or Clinton in 1992. Sure. They both were trailing their opponents going into their conventions, and both got huge boosts coming out and really never lost the momentum. Now, Gore, of course, didn't win. We all know how close he came to victory. What's the message or lesson about what can lead to lasting momentum?
Well, first of all, I think I probably differ a little bit because Gore, that was 24 years ago, and the country is much more divided. So even if this is a hugely successful convention, probably it'll be only a few points, not like 1988 when Republican convention was able to overcome a deficit of 18 points. That having been said, I think if you look at that convention this week, they used every single hour to the maximum. Take, for example, the roll call vote, which we've all seen for years. It's usually boring. It's just calling on state chair people. And in this case, they made it into a dance party and a rock concert, and people watched. I think this is going to be the template for conventions of the future.
Michael, the vice president focused a lot of her speech on her upbringing and her family's American dream. Listen to the part of it.
Sure.
She was tough, courageous, a trailblazer in the fight for women's health. And she taught Maya and me a lesson that Michelle mentioned the other night. She taught us to never complain about injustice, but do something about it.
biographical moments from conventions can stick in our nation's consciousness. I mean, Clinton's still remembered as the man from hope. He actually referred to it in his speech. Did you find anything in the vice president's speech that could maybe leave that kind of lasting impression?
It was absolutely crucial that she do that last night because so few people
Once upon a time, there was an infinity, meticulously crafted to stir your imagination and dare you to dream. Luxurious three-row dreams. Introducing the all-new three-row Infinity QX80.
Growing old is part of the journey, even when you have heart failure. But when he had shortness of breath, carpal tunnel syndrome, and lower back pain, we wondered, could these be warning signs of something bigger? Thank goodness we called his cardiologist, because these were signs of ATTR-CM, a rare and serious disease that gets worse over time. If you see any of the warning signs, don't wait. Ask your cardiologist about ATTR-CM today.
Did you know how you feel can be affected by the bacteria in your gut? Try New Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites. With a delicious apple and blueberry-flavored fruit center and yogurt coating, each bite is infused with added probiotics to help promote a healthy digestive system every day. Plus, they're packaged in individually wrapped pouches for daily digestive support on the go. Look for New Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites online and in the digestive care aisle of your local retailer. Brand Power, helping you buy better.
With CarGurus, filter millions of listings to land the perfect deal. If only you could do things your way all the time. Imagine that. Get it with Gurus.
At SimpliSafe, we build advanced security sensors and cameras for your whole home, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring and Fast Protect technology, exclusively from SimpliSafe for faster police response. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for. I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for and let me pause my subscription when I want. Sling lets you do that.
Choose and customize your channel lineup or watch for free. Sling lets you do that.
Doctors recommend Colay stool softener for gentle, dependable relief from constipation. It's so gentle, doctors even recommend it during pregnancy and after surgery. Colay's increases water in the stool, making it softer so it's easier to go. No harsh laxatives, cramping, or straining. Colay's.
It's lunchtime, and Gary is double booked. Good thing Gary's company uses Otter's AI meeting assistant to take notes and generate a summary. So Gary doesn't miss a meeting and can regain his lunch break. Try now for free. Visit otter.ai or download the app.
Hey folks, Chris Coonan here with Leaf Filter, America's largest gutter and gutter protection company. Leaf Filter has over 150 locations and has been installed on over 1 million homes. We've been protecting homes now for over 20 years. Our patented technology offers total protection for your home and comes with a lifetime transferable warranty. The process is simple. Give us a call to schedule your free gutter inspection. If you decide to move forward with the project, you put nothing down at all. 833-LEAF FILTER or visit leaffilter.com today.
The best feeling is when we take off our bras. It's not true. Honeylove bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwires. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. No back fat. Never. It's fun. It's beautiful. It's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com.
Welcome back, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. I'm Jose Diaz-Balart, along with my dear friend and colleague, Ana Cabrera for another hour of special coverage of the Democratic National Convention. The 74-day sprint to Election Day is now in full swing after Vice President Harris made history by becoming the first black and South Asian woman to lead a major party ticket.
The vice president used the most important speech of her political career to talk about who she is. Growing up in a middle-class family with a single mother who she described as her greatest inspiration.
She also thanked President Biden for bringing her on board and for bowing out to make her the nominee.
When I think about the path that we have traveled together, Joe, I am filled with gratitude. Your record is extraordinary, as history will show, and your character is inspiring.
The vice president also warned of the dangers of allowing former President Trump to return to the White House.
In many ways, Donald Trump is an